Hi, I'm Holly Gray, author of Dissociative Living. I'd like to talk to you briefly today about how I came to be diagnosed for the first time with dissociative identity disorder and the impact that receiving that diagnosis had on me. I was in and out of therapy from the age of 14 with very minimal results, and by the time I was in my mid-20s, I was thoroughly disillusioned, and I wanted nothing to do with therapy ever again. But when I was 29, my struggles with depression, anxiety, nightmares, etc. became unmanageable, and not knowing what else to do, I decided I'd give therapy one more shot. I was desperate, and that desperation motivated me to just lay all my cards on the table, so to speak. So I marched into my first session, I sat down, and I announced, I have a girl in my head. That was a monumental confession for me. Because at the time I was deeply ashamed of it. I'd always known about what I called the girl in my head, and I'd even told a couple of people about her, but the experience was so emotionally intense that I found it overwhelming and never brought it up again and hoped they'd forget about it. But this time, like I said, I was absolutely desperate, so I poured it all out, and to my immense surprise, the therapist wasn't the slightest bit shaken. She very calmly and coolly explained to me the basics of dissociation, and armed with that information and comforted by her unflappable demeanor, I decided I might just get something out of therapy after all, and so I went back, and about 8 months later, she told me that she diagnosed me with dissociative identity disorder. Now, here's the thing about DID. It doesn't want to be found. Think of it like a terrified child who doesn't know who to trust, if anyone at all. It hides. Diagnosis can therefore be very destabilizing. It took me 2 years just to regain my balance, and another 3 to come to terms with the diagnosis. I didn't handle it with any kind of grace at all. I spent those 5 frightening, confusing years trying to convince myself and therapists that I had anything other than DID. I found it immensely difficult to talk about at all with anyone. And I've since learned that my reaction wasn't abnormal at all. Diagnosis can and often does throw DID systems into chaos and amplify the symptoms of the disorder for a period of time. So I'd like to reassure you, particularly if you're someone who's been recently diagnosed with DID, that within the context of dissociative identity disorder, it's entirely normal to feel completely destabilized, to be terribly frightened, to be desperate for community, but too scared to reach out. And I'd also like to reassure you that it does get better. So hang in there. And thanks for watching. I'll see you online.